Hello and welcome to today's ICMA University web conference, Installing Solar on Municipal Facilities. I'd now like to go ahead and introduce our speakers for today. First, we have Ashwini Kantak. Ashwini is the assistant to the city manager in San Jose, California, where she is responsible for the implementation of the San Jose Green Vision, a 15-year strategic plan for economic growth and environmental stewardship. The Green Vision's 10 goals include a 50% capita energy reduction and 100% of electrical energy from clean, renewable sources by 2022. In her 10 years at San Jose, Ashwini has led the development of several citywide policies related to infrastructure and environmental sustainability, including the city's green building policies. Also with us is Amy Hart. Amy is the City of Milwaukee's Solar Program Manager and leads Milwaukee Shines, the City of Milwaukee's solar program. Milwaukee was designated one of 25 Solar America cities by the U.S. Department of Energy in 2008. Before joining that city, Amy spent nearly 5 years with the Midwest Renewable Energy Association and served on Stevens Point's City Council, where she co-chaired the city's development of its eco-municipality plan. A graduate of UW Stevens Point, Amy is currently a student at Marquette Law School. And finally, we have Bruce Plank. Bruce has been interested in solar energy since the 1980s and now works as Tucson's Solar Energy Coordinator, funded by a U.S. Department of Energy Solar America Communities grant. He has worked primarily as a public interest attorney and teacher while living and working in Utah, Kansas, and Arizona, and has represented many low-income clients as a legal services legal aid lawyer, as well as representing environmental groups and others while in private law practice. Bruce has served on the Tucson-Pima County Metropolitan Energy Commission for 3 years and helped develop the Greater Tucson Strategic Energy Plan. He is currently Vice Chair of the Southern Arizona Regional Solar Partnership, a frequent speaker on solar issues in Tucson and elsewhere, and lives in a home with PV and solar hot water. So now, with no further ado, I want to go ahead and hand the floor over to Ashwini. Ashwini, if you're ready, the floor is all yours.
Great, thank you. Hello, everyone. I'd like to start off by telling you a little bit about San Jose. And let me get up the slides here.
Oh, Ashwini, I've got your first slide posted, so you can go ahead and I'll change it to the next slide for you.
Okay, thank you. I'm having some difficulty moving the slides along. But the San Jose was founded in 1777 and was California's first civilian settlement. It covers about 178 square miles and has a very diverse population of just under 1 million. It's known as the capital of Silicon Valley and is the 10th largest city in the nation and the largest in Northern California. So a few fun facts about San Jose. It was ranked by Business Week as the #1 city to start a clean tech business. It is the #1 U.S. city for number of patents per million residents. We have 810 per million. And the average number of sunny days in San Jose on an annual basis is 300. Next slide, please. Adopted in 2007, San Jose's Green Vision is an ambitious 15-year plan for economic growth, environmental sustainability, and an enhanced quality of life for its community. The 10 goals span a broad spectrum of areas, including clean tech jobs, energy, green buildings, waste, water, sustainable planning, trees, and alternative transportation networks. Next slide. Thank you. Policies and incentives related to solar can really vary widely from state to state. In California, we have net metering and the California Solar Initiative. These are examples of policies and programs that enable solar adoption. Net metering is an electricity policy for consumers who own all renewable energy facilities. Net, in this case, means what remains after deductions. That is the deduction of any energy outflows from metered energy inflows. And under net metering, a system owner receives retail credit for at least a portion of the electricity they generate. These offsets are typically done on an annual basis, and so excess summer production offsets excess winter consumption. And the California Solar Initiative offers cash back for installing solar on your home or business. Ratepayer-funded rebates are paid upfront for smaller systems that are less than 10 kW, or based on actual production for larger systems that are larger than 10 kW. And the City of San Jose actually continues to play an active role in shaping policies at the national and state level. At the state level, some specific examples include Assembly Bill 2466, which allows a bill credit transfer between different meters for local governments, as well as the development of model fire codes. At the national level, we continue to advocate for policies and resources that support local governments' efforts in the energy and renewable energy fields, along with any policies and incentives that spur clean tech jobs. Next slide, please. So one of the Green Vision goals is to receive 100% of electricity from clean, renewable sources by 2022. In order to achieve this, we use a comprehensive strategy, which includes leading by example on our municipal facilities, advocating for policies that support solar adoption, attracting and retaining solar companies, and partnering with them on new technologies. We also partner with local community colleges and other training institutions to develop a skilled workforce. And of course, last but not the least, we conduct outreach and educate the community to enable adoption on a larger scale. So we actually have almost 3,000 solar photovoltaic systems now in San Jose with a total capacity of nearly 37 megawatts. And the latest numbers actually indicate a little higher number, maybe about 44. We have, out of this, we have 2.4 megawatts installed on our municipal facilities, and the 37 megawatts that's total in the city is actually equivalent to over 8,000 residential systems if you assumed a 4 kW for every system. So this is the most solar installed in any city in California. San Jose is also one of 25 cities in the nation chosen by the Department of Energy as a Solar America city. Next slide, please. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the municipal solar. Now, through the Green Vision and our Strategic Energy Action Plan, Council has directed us to meet 100% of our municipal electricity needs with clean, renewable sources, and to do so in a way that reduces energy costs. This means that, at a minimum, we have to achieve grid parity. At this time, given the budget challenges our city is facing, we really cannot look to funding this with city monies. And so we had to explore other financing options. Now, some of you may already be familiar with a third-party mechanism known as power purchase agreement. In this financing arrangement, a public or private party enters into an agreement, typically for a term of 20 years, with an outside partner that will lease your facilities and design, finance, construct, operate, and maintain a solar installation. This entity will then sell power to you at a predetermined rate over the term of the agreement, and you also agree upon an escalation rate at that point. So we had two initial RFPs that were unsuccessful. One was at our new airport for a 1 megawatt installation, and the proposals that we received had prices that were up to 3 times the rate of power that we were paying to the utility. So we did debriefs with all of the proposals and received feedback that some of the terms that posed challenges included restrictive site access, annual appropriations clause, mutual indemnification language, as well as bond requirements. And then we started out with the second proposal, which was for a 1.3 megawatt installation at the city's central service yard. And although we tried to incorporate some of the lessons learned from the airport, we were still not successful with this RFP because we could not waive several requirements for our legal counsel. And so we only received one proposal, and even that did not meet the minimum qualifications. Next slide, please. So after our initial two unsuccessful attempts, we realized that we really had to look at our approach and kind of rethink our traditional approach to solicitation for procurement. So we first issued a request for information asking the industry about their interest level in helping us meet our goals, as well as get their input on potential issues. We then hosted a meeting for all vendors and installers to follow up on this input and feedback. This meeting was very well attended with over 50 people in attendance and 26 solar companies represented. Then based on this input, we circulated a restructured draft RFP for comment. And this restructured RFP allowed for a lot more flexibility. It was primarily qualifications-based, with room to negotiate terms after we had selected a vendor. Sun Edison, in partnership with DRI, was the selected proposal, and we worked through the issues about site access, bonding, mutual indemnification, etc., and agreed to use force majeure to address the annual appropriations clause issues. And based on these negotiated terms, we were able to receive an even lower price for power than was originally proposed, thus getting an estimated savings of about $540,000 over the 20-year term of the agreement. Then using this successful RFP as a template, we were able to go out with a broader request for proposals for solar on other city facilities. And last year, Council approved an agreement with Solar City to do power purchase agreements on 28 other city facilities with a total potential of 4 megawatts, and we are currently negotiating terms on the first 4 facilities. Next slide, please. So I want to share with you some of the key considerations from our experience. As we put our list of 28 city facilities together for our next phase of solar, we had to consider several factors. I've compiled a list of these for your use. Developing a comprehensive strategy for solar and municipal facilities can be quite a challenge, especially with no upfront money for assessment or capital costs. You should really begin by defining your primary goals. Do you mainly want to reduce energy costs, develop a reliable local supply of energy, or create jobs? And I know that you may be tempted to say all of the above, but defining which one is most important up front will guide you as you try to prioritize and develop a strategy. You should definitely undertake energy efficiency improvements, since this will enable you to install smaller systems. It can be difficult to do this since it does require upfront capital investment. Fortunately, we were able to leverage federal stimulus dollars to make these improvements. And we also have a revolving energy fund, which allows us to invest the first 2-year savings in other similar projects. And so we were effectively able to take the stimulus dollars even further. If you do not have funding resources, one option may be to do a power purchase agreement that includes the energy efficiency improvements. Also, if you're looking at rooftop installations, you do need to consider the condition of the roof. This helped us eliminate several facilities without adequate roof life, at least in this initial phase. Of course, you can still look for other opportunities that will allow you to explore carports or ground mount systems. And also, since the agreements are typically for a 20-year term, it is important to choose facilities that are likely to be in operation for at least that period of time. In our city, we have been facing significant budget deficits for the last 20 years, and with continuing service reductions, it remains a challenge to accurately predict which facilities will continue to be in operation. So we had to look at several factors and choose facilities which have the best chance of being operational for this 20-year term. And then you also have to look at, is the facility or site viable for solar? Are there trees that shade the facility? Do the locations of the meters drive up the cost? Is the roof area relatively free of other equipment? Next slide, please. So under PG&E pricing, the various facilities are on different rates for us. So the rate schedule can also be a very important factor in determining whether solar would be financially viable. High peak pricing can make solar very advantageous. Something else you need to look at is other restrictions that would not allow a long-term site lease. So for example, in our city, per our charter, we have a maximum term of 3 years for any lease on parkland under 5 acres. This makes solar in neighborhood parks non-viable. And so we're currently exploring alternate options that would allow short-term 3-year leases with options to renew. Also, if the facility has been financed through a tax-exempt bond, there are IRS restrictions regarding maximum square footage and revenue related to leases to private entities. Site assessments and soft costs related to the project also require considerable resources. As a Solar America city, we were able to get some site assessments done by the Department of Energy. However, the best approach may be to select one or more qualified proposers and then have them do the assessments and tell you which facilities lend themselves best to solar. At the Central Service Yard, we did require substantial site coordination and project management resources. So this is another important consideration. And in this case, too, you can look at possibly structuring the power purchase agreement to cover these costs. This does affect your cost of power, but at least it provides you with an option to be able to advance solar on municipal facilities. The image that you see in this slide is actually a 1.1 megawatt solar installation at our newly revamped airport. So although we didn't use a PPA in this case, this was made possible through the savings on the actual airport project. Next slide, please. So besides our efforts on municipal solar, we are also putting significant resources towards increasing solar in the community. And doing this primarily in three ways: through outreach and education, streamlined permitting and inspection, and working with partners on financing options. And so I'm just going to focus a little bit on our solar strategy in the interest of time. I did want to share a little bit about our success in streamlining permitting and inspection. We currently provide online applications for solar, over-the-counter streamlined permitting for residential systems that meet certain criteria, and also next-day inspection scheduling. Much of the success of the permit streamlining is attributed to having the information available to applicants before they come in to obtain their permits and before they call for inspection. So one of the critical pieces of information available to installers is a specific checklist that provides all of the information needed to ensure a speedy permitting and inspection process. The checklist was developed by the city in coordination with the PV industry. We also continue to explore permit streamlining efforts in coordination with neighboring jurisdictions. Next slide, please. And then outreach and education. I just wanted to take some time to stress the importance of outreach and education in our community solar strategy. If we truly want to advance solar adoption, we need to educate not only the general community, but also specific key groups. Thus, in addition to reaching out to our residents and businesses, it's critical to reach out to learning institutions, to code and public safety officials, and to workforce development entities. We've not only reached out to youth and schools and community events, but also conducted several tours of our Clean Energy Showcase, shown in the bottom image of the slide. This showcase, which is funded by a DOE Solar America City grant, has attracted, I think, about over 6,000 visitors now since it was open for about 7 months. And this is a great example of partnerships between the city, renewable energy companies, the building trade groups, and workforce development entities to demonstrate renewable energy technologies. And in the code and safety area, San Jose has also developed a video on solar and fire safety, which is now being used at the national level for education and training purposes. Next slide, please. So included here is a list of key resource websites that you may find useful as you plan for solar in your community. Although many policies and programs here may be specific to the state of California, it'll give you a good idea of what is possible, maybe trigger some things you would want to advocate for at the national or state level. And so, next slide, please. So I'd just like to wrap up by saying, in summary, just be aware of applicable policies and utility pricing in your jurisdiction. And for municipal solar, define your goals up front, consider all the issues, explore the various opportunities, and then develop a strategy. And for community solar, really facilitating partnerships with industry, training institutions, financial institutions is really important, and then providing education and outreach. So I just want to close by saying good luck with your efforts in this field, and I'm happy to take questions after the presentations, or you can also contact me after the webinar as well. Thank you for listening.